Respected Professor Sanjay, each and every unit associated with this organization, and dear participants. At the very outset, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Professor Sanjay for providing the opportunity to speak in front of you. I am feeling great pleasure about this opportunity. I am directed by Dr. Padhi to speak in both the languages, English as well as Hindi. My delivery will be of two-way process. I will stress on discussion. I will discuss in detail about the different statistical tools which are used to conduct researches, which are applied to analyze data. It is not possible to discuss about all the tools which are used to draw inferences in the limited duration of time, but I will try my level best. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting time, I am going to start my presentation. I divided this whole presentation into different parts. First, I will discuss about in the first part of my presentation. In a very brief, I will discuss about the concept of research and variables, since in every field, in biomedical researches also, in the field of endocrine also, we have to conduct researches by taking different types of variables. In the second part, I will discuss in detail about the basic concept of statistical tools. We will try to cover more than 10 tools and 10 statistical techniques which are used to analyze data. So let's start with the first part, concept of research and variables. I know you all are familiar about the concept of research, लेकिन हल्की सी बात करते हैं, थोड़ा रिसर्च के बारे में, अनुसंधान के बारे में आधार बनाने का प्रयास करूंगा जिससे आगे की बातें ठीक प्रकार से हो पाए। शुरू करते हैं कहानी को कि व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय रिसर्च। हम जितनी भी पुस्तकें पढ़ते हैं, डिफरेंट ऑथर्स, बड़े बड़े प्रगाढ़ विद्वान, विदुषी, दिग्गज शोध या अनुसंधान के क्षेत्र में हुए हैं, अलग अलग तरह से उसको परिभाषित किया है। तो बात करते हैं रिसर्च की, एक सिंपल सी डेफिनेशन की बात करते हैं। क्रिएशन ऑफ एनी नॉलेज इज नोन एज रिसर्च, वी ऑल नो दैट, बट द कंडीशन अप्लाइज, एक शर्त है लागू साथ साथ। एवरी क्रिएशन ऑफ नॉलेज कैन नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड एज रिसर्च, दैट शुड बी एक्सेप्टेबल इन द सोसाइटी। हमें कुछ ऐसा करना है जो समाज में स्वीकार है, वो ही अनुसंधान के क्षेत्र में रखा जा सकता है। वी नो दैट इट इज अ प्रोसेस, एक प्रक्रिया है। Why this is known as process? Since we do different types of activities, and this process starts from a problem and ends at solution. Okay, I will speak in English. Okay, thank you. This process starts from a problem and ends at solution. From starting line to finishing line, we do different types of activities. We identify a problem, we formulate objective, we formulate hypothesis. We collect data, we analyze data, and we draw inferences after the analysis of data. In this whole journey, in this process, out of all activities, I will discuss about only one activity, that is how to analyze data by using different statistical tools. But here also the condition applies. The activities should be systematic in nature, otherwise the probability of success will not be maximum. Every scholar, every researcher want to attain the maximum probability of success. So we do systematic. So we should have an idea how to do systematic. I will discuss in detail. This word systematic has two inbuilt characteristics. Without fulfilling these characteristics, the activity, any activity, cannot be considered as systematic. First one is we have to follow a sequence. Second one is it should be well defined. Well defined means every individual should lead to the same type of conclusion. And we should have an idea about what is the origin of any problem. Since after the origin, we identify the problem, after that we select variables, then we collect data, we analyze data. After collecting the data, what is the origin of any problem? Origin is choice. In this universe, we have choices. Where there is a choice, there is a problem. Where there is a variety, there is a problem. And one word from the field of applied statistics: variance, compactness and scatteredness. Where there is a variance, there is a problem. But this word variance is associated with the subject applied statistics, but we are talking about research now. So a word is in front of us, that is a variable. The origin of any problem is a variable, and variable is a characteristic that has the tendency to change with respect to time, place, individual. In the field of biomedical researches, there is a long list of variables: myoglobin content, hemoglobin, blood glucose level, WBC, RBC. There is a long list of variables. By taking different variables, we do different types of studies. We do different types of researches. Maybe survey studies, maybe experimental studies. So how we will discuss in detail how to conduct survey studies and how to conduct experimental studies. In very brief, let's discuss about the concept of variables. As I have said, different authors classified variables in different ways. Since we require a base for classification purposes, the first classification is on the basis of causal model. This causal model applies to conduct experimental researches. If on the basis of a causal model, if on the basis of a cause and effect relationship, we classify all the variables only in three categories, only in three types. You know that first one is an independent variable. Let's formulate a hypothetical example. Effect of drug X on Y disease. Effect of drug X on Y disease. This independent variable is known as a treatment in biomedical researches. In this hypothetical example, effect of drug X on Y disease, drug X is considered as an independent variable. Here, investigators' interest is to find out the effect of only drug X on Y disease. Second one is a dependent variable that depends on independent variable. In this hypothetical example, Y disease is considered as a dependent variable. Ladies and gentlemen, investigators' interest is to find out the effect of only drug X, but that never happens. There are various other variables also. They may act simultaneously with independent variable, simultaneously with drug X. Maybe daily routine, maybe food habits, maybe social background, maybe humidity, maybe environment. There is a long list. And these variables are known as confounding variable. Confounding variables. The third category is confounding variable. And these confounding variables are sub-classified into two different categories. First one is intervening variables. These are beyond the control of investigator. They cannot control. These will be considered as our limitations. Due to this reason, in biomedical researches, you conduct your researches at 0.0501 level of significance. It means you are 99% confident and your significance level is 1%. Since we cannot control, we will not be able to control these intervening variables. And the second subcategory of confounding variable is extraneous variables. Example of intervening variable: climatic conditions. We cannot change climatic conditions. These comes under the category of intervening. And in relation to extraneous variables, to a great extent, we can control extraneous variables. We can control daily routine. We can control food habits. These comes under the category of extraneous variables. We should, if we want to conduct genuine researches, reliable researches, valid researches, we should have an idea about two different terminologies. I will discuss about these terminologies. If we want to publish our articles, research papers in the PubMed Index journals, Web of Science Index journals, Scopus Index journals, we have to conduct our studies in a controlled conditions. Two terminologies are, our hypothetical example was effect of drug X on Y disease. Our interest is to find out the effect of only drug X on Y disease. The change in y only due to x is known as treatment variance. Change due to treatment in our hypothetical example treatment is drug X. And change in y other than x. Please try to get my point. Change in y other than x. Other than x means due to confounding variable, maybe intervening, maybe extraneous. That is known as error variance. So there are two terminologies: treatment variance, change in dependent variable only due to independent variable; error variance, change in dependent variable other than independent variable. And these are confounding, subclassifying into two categories: intervening and extraneous. So our purpose is we have to select the techniques, statistical techniques or experimental or research design in such a way. We have to maximize the treatment variance and we have to minimize the error variance. We should keep in the entirety of our mind. We have to maximize the treatment variance and minimize the error variance. From this statement, one point is very clear. Error variance cannot be eliminated. No research can be conducted error-free. We should try our level best to minimize the error variance. So how to minimize the error variance? We have only two options: by selecting appropriate research designs, and another is by applying different statistical tools which are full of experimental control, which are full of statistical control. Let's take an example. If we want to conduct experimental researches, in that case, the researches should be conducted by taking pre-test, post-test controlled group design and by applying ANCOVA instead of covariance. Why? I will justify that during the discussion. Now, second type of classification. The classification of variables on the basis of unit of measurement, or few authors classified on the basis of scaling techniques. On the basis of scale of measurements, we classify all variables in 4 different categories. First one is nominal scale. When we collect data in frequency or count, in a discrete series, in a whole number, for example, smoking, that is categorized into 2, smokers and non-smokers. Suppose you want to conduct your researches, prediction of risk of cancer on the basis of smoking. You want to identify the risk of cancer on the basis of smoking. And smoking is considered as a variable, comes into the category of nominal scale. That is divided into category. We cannot say there are 2.5 smokers. No. Either there will be 3, 4 or 5. That will be whole number. That will be a discrete series. And this nominal scale is also subdivided into 2 categories. First one is dichotomous. Dichom is 2, having 2 ends. I have taken an example. Smoking. That comes under the category of a variable we can measure in a dichotomous way. Another is polytomous. When we divide more than 2 categories, polytomous. For example, race, Indians, Chinese, Germans, Polish. If categorized in more than 2 categories, that is polytomous. So we will discuss in detail how to analyze data when we collect data in nominal scale. We will discuss in detail. And the second one is, and this polytomous may be subdivided into 2 categories: nominal with order and nominal without order. I have taken an example of race, Indian, Polish, Chinese. We cannot place in an order. All will be considered equal. But suppose if we classify into 3 categories, high, medium, low, we can arrange in order. This polytomous we may arrange this polytomous in order, and that cannot be arranged in order. Next one is ordinal scale. In the field of biomedical sciences, there is a long list of variables which are measured in an ordinal scale. For example, pain If any patient comes to you and if you ask what is the severity of pain, he or she cannot say, I have 5 centimeter pain, I have 10 kg pain, 1 ton pain. He or she will express in order, sir, I have high pain, and you will treat accordingly. Some variables can be measured only in ascending order or in descending order. Okay. If I ask, what is the beauty of your friend? You cannot say, she has 5 ton beauty. You will say, yes, she has excellent beauty. These are the examples of ordinal scale. So we will discuss in detail how to analyze data if we collect the observation or information on the basis of ordinal scale. We can measure in an order, maybe ascending, maybe descending. Third category of variable is interval scale. Interval scale means having same intervals in between but has no fixed zero. There is no origin, zero. Example is, suppose you want to conduct a study, effect of the risk of diabetes on the basis of anxiety. Anxiety comes under the category of interval scale. Suppose my anxiety score is 50 and Paddy sir's anxiety score is 100. Can we say he has just double anxiety than me? No. Anxiety has no zero origin. Suppose in hypothetical example, my weight is 50 kg and Dr. Paddy's weight is 100 kg. Yes, he has just double weight than me. Means weight has a fixed zero. Interval scale means, again I repeat, having same intervals in between but has no fixed zero. On the other hand, there are large scale of measurement, ratio scale, having same intervals in between but has a fixed zero. Myoglobin content, hemoglobin content, blood glucose level, all are measured in a ratio scale. In the field of biomedical sciences, few variables comes into the category of interval scale, few in ratio scales. My purpose is we will discuss in detail which technique will be applied in which type of scale of measurement. To conduct researches by taking nominal scale, how to conduct researches by taking ordinal scale, how to conduct researches by taking interval or ratio scale, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, now my story starts. I have made a base to start my story. Next is, this is the main part of my presentation, basic concept of statistical tools. We will discuss about different tools which are used to analyze data. After identifying problem, after formulating objective, after formulating hypothesis, after collecting data, the main problem that we face is selection of appropriate technique to analyze data, how to analyze data. And we all know that to analyze data, statistical techniques are required. And these statistical techniques are known as inferential statistics. Why these are known as inferential statistics? Since we draw inferences by the application of these statistical tools. And all inferential statistics, or we can say that all statistical techniques are subdivided into two different categories. First one is parametric statistics, another is non-parametric statistics. You will be agree with my statement. Blindly, without testing minimum assumptions, directly we apply parametric statistics. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot apply parametric statistics directly. Some minimum assumptions should be fulfilled before applying parametric statistics. Then the question arises, what are these assumptions? First assumption is the data should be normally distributed. We cannot apply parametric techniques in case of non-normal data. I hope you have studied the concept of normal distribution, having the maximum concentration of the scores at the center and the frequency tapers at both the ends. Since we conduct any research by taking samples from the population and population is always normally distributed. So, the first step of any researcher should be testing normality. Why? We have to decide whether we have to apply parametric or we have to apply non-parametric. I will discuss about different methods with hypothetical examples, how to test the normality, and I will show by different softwares. This facility is available in SPSS as well as in Microsoft Excel. I will show you. Second assumption is, we have discussed about different scales of measurements. We have discussed about 4 scales of measurements: nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio. This, to apply parametric statistics, at least interval or ratio scale is required. We cannot apply parametric in case of first 2 scales of measurements. We cannot apply parametric in case of nominal scale, and we cannot apply parametric statistics in case of ordinal scale. In that, we have to apply non-parametric statistics. There is a long list of statistical tools in parametric as well as in non-parametric. But on the other hand, non-parametric statistics can be applied in any distribution, may be normal, may not be normal, and in any scale of measurement can be applied in nominal, ordinal, ratio, interval. In any scale of measurement we can apply. Now, our practical part starts. How to test the normality? Why we are going to test the normality? Since we have to decide, we have to take a decision whether we have to apply parametric or we have to apply non-parametric. So how to test normal distribution? We have to check the normal distribution. We have to check the normal distribution. I will proceed very slowly and I will show you by hypothetical examples. I will show by using different softwares, Microsoft Excel as well as SPSS. We have the facility of 3 different techniques to test the normality. First one is descriptive statistics. By using descriptive statistics, we can test the normal distribution, or we can say that we can test the normality. After hearing the word descriptive statistics, measures of central tendency and measures of variability comes in front of our mind. Mean, median, mode, range, quartile deviation, mean deviation, standard deviation. There is a long list. We, ladies and gentlemen, we do not require all descriptive measures if our purpose is to test the normality. We require only 4 measures. I will discuss about that. What are these measures? And the second is graphical method. By using graphical method, we can test the normality. And third one is formal tests. These tests are formulated, these tests are structured only to measure the normality. Let's discuss one by one. Let's start with the first, that is descriptive statistics. If our purpose is to test the normality, only 4 descriptive measures are required. First one is skewness, that's denoted by capital S and small k, skewness. That measures the symmetricity of the curve, symmetricity of the normal curve. And we require standard error of skewness. Standard error of skewness. What do you mean by standard error? We will discuss. And next is kurtosis. Kurtosis measures the flatness of the normal curve. And fourth measure is known as standard error of kurtosis. Again, I repeat, we have to calculate these 4 measures: skewness, standard error of skewness, kurtosis, and standard error of kurtosis. What do you mean by standard error? Manak त्रुटि, standard error. What do you mean by this? आपके सब कैसे हैं? कैसे लगते हैं आपको? कैसे हैं? नहीं, क्वालिटी नहीं पूछ रहा, बस एक कैसे थे? इस तरह के व्यक्ति हैं। सबने कहा ही इज गुड, अच्छे इंसान है। माय सेकंड क्वेश्चन इज, इनमें कोई भी कमी नहीं है? हाँ या ना? देखो कह रहे ना ही इज ए स्टूडेंट, कह रहे मेरे सर बहुत अच्छे है। मेरा दूसरा प्रश्न था, माय अनदर क्वेश्चन वाज कि कमियां नहीं है क्या? कह रहे कमी, कोई भी व्यक्ति कमियों के बाद अच्छा हो सकता है क्या? यस, आवर सोसाइटी फिक्स्ड इमेजिनरी लाइन, समाज ने एक इमेजिनरी लाइन फिक्स कर दी। इफ द वीकनेसेस आर बिलो दिस लाइन, दीज आर एक्सेप्टेबल, अच्छे हैं। इफ दैट लाइन क्रॉसेस, अच्छे नहीं है। Ladies and gentlemen, every individual is bound to have some error. The accepted error is known as standard error. Same is applicable here. Every statistical tool is bound to have some error. इतना चलेगा। The acceptable errors are known as standard errors. We have to calculate the value of skewness and we have to calculate the value of standard error skewness. The value of skewness should be less than the standard error, then acceptable. Yes. That fulfills the minimum requirement, and the value of kurtosis should be less than the standard error of kurtosis. And one more thumb rule is applied. We may keep this thumb rule in our mind. If the value of both, you may write, since we have to do inferences, we have to take decisions. If the value of both, if the value of skewness as well as if the value of kurtosis, if that lies in between -1 to 1, it means the normality is fulfilled. We will discuss it. Again I repeat, if the value of, there is no need to calculate standard error. If without standard error you want to take your decisions, in that case calculate only two values, skewness and kurtosis, and both values should lie in between -1 to 1. Second is QQ plot. QQ plot is a graphical method to test the normality. You know that in graph we have x-axis, in graph we have y-axis. A standard line is generated in that QQ plot. Please try to understand my point. A standard line, I will show you the standard line. A standard line is generated in that QQ plot. If all the scores are scattered near to this line, it means data is normally distributed. If the scores are scattered away from that standard line, away from that generated line, the data will be considered as non-normal and we cannot apply parametric. Instead of parametric, we have to apply non-parametric. Third, formal test. There is a long list of formal tests, but we require only one. If our purpose is to test the normality, out of all formal tests, we require only one test. I listed only 4. First one is KST, Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. Second one is SWT, Shapiro-Wilk test. Shapiro-Wilk test. ADT, Anderson-Darling test. RJT, Ryan-Joyner test. Dr. Padhi directed me to demonstrate by using SPSS. This SPSS, Statistical Package for Social Sciences, out of these 4 tests, the SPSS has the facility of only first 2. In SPSS, we have 2 facilities. We have facility of 2 first tests, but we require only one. The facility of KST and SWT, Kolmogorov-Smirnov test and Shapiro-Wilk test is available in SPSS. I will show you. Now, how to test the normality we have discussed, and we have 3, again I repeat, we have 3 methods: descriptive statistics, QQ plot, and formal test. But the main point is, testing normality depends on sample size. In every sample size, we cannot test normality in the same fashion, in the same way. Earlier, there was a concept of small sample and large sample, especially in biomedical researches. If we conduct any study by taking less than 30 subjects, less than 30 units, these are considered as small sample, and 30 and above, getting changed by the statisticians. Not by statisticians, by biomedical statisticians. Instead of two sample sizes, small sample and large sample, one more category is added. First is small sample, the concept of small sample is same. If we conduct any study by taking less than 30, considered as a small sample. If we conduct any study, any research, maybe survey, maybe experimental, by taking 30 to 100 individuals, 30 to 100 subjects, that comes under the category of moderate sample size. This category is included recently. Moderate sample size. If we conduct any study by taking 100 and more units, 100 and more samples, this category is known as large sample. Try to recall my point, try to recall my sentence. Testing normality depends on sample size, and we have three sample sizes: small, moderate, large. The methodology to test normality for small sample will be different. The methodology to test normality of moderate sample will be different, and to test the normality of large sample will be different. Let's discuss one by one. Testing normality of small sample size. Testing how to test the normality of small sample size. Answer is there is no need to test. If you are going to conduct any study by taking less than 30, there is no need to test. Always assume that data is non-normal. Instead of applying parametric, directly apply non-parametric. Now, second category, how to test the normality of moderate sample size. How to test the normality of moderate sample size if we are going to conduct any research by taking 30 to 100 subjects. How many methods we have? 3. Descriptive, QQ plot, and formal test. Which test will be applied first, or whether we have to apply all tests? We have to follow a sequence. Write down step by step. First apply formal test in case of moderate sample. First apply instead of descriptive, instead of calculating descriptive, and instead of generating that QQ plot, first apply formal test. What will be the answer? Answer will be only two. Normal or non-normal? Answer will be only two. Normal or? If the result of formal test shows data is normal, then 100% do not rely on this test. Cross test by using remaining two methods, and the remaining two methods are graphical and descriptive. And another answer can be non-normal. If result is non-normal, then there is no need to cross test. Apply non-parametric. Is it clear? Now, how to test the normality of large sample? How to test the normality of large sample? The sequence will be same. The sequence will be same. First apply formal test. First apply formal test. Answer will be same. Either yes or no, either normal or non-normal. If the result is normal, उसमें क्या किया था? What we did in that? Cross test. Here there is no need to cross test. Accept the result, apply. Parametric. यदि वो क्या, if the result is non-normal. If the result is non-normal, in that case, we have to cross-test the non-normality here. Why? बहुत कम chances हैं. There will be least possibility. Large sample cannot be non-normal. There will be chances of outliers. Suppose you are conducting your research on blood pressure, and all subjects are having the normal blood pressure 80 to 20, near to 80-20, and one has severe hypertension, or that is 170, it means only one unit, only one subject distorted the entire distribution. We have to eliminate that. I will discuss about that. Wait. We are discussing about how to test the normality of large sample. Apply formal test first. If the answer is no, yes, normal, then accept the results. Apply parametric. If the answer is no, cross test non-normality here and identify the outlier. Remove that outlier. Instead of 100, conduct the study by taking 99. That will not be, I assure you, that will not be considered as unethical issue. Unethical issue is if we eliminate any outlier, if we eliminate any exceptional score after the production of results, that is considered as unethical. If during the screening of data, if one score or two scores or three scores distorted our entire scores, in that case we have to eliminate, and this will not be considered as unethical issue. There is no clear-cut guidelines in the statistics, but if only 2, 3, 4 scores, you can take decision, eliminate 1 score, 2 score, 3 scores. After eliminating these 3 or 2, 3 scores, if the data are normally distributed, in that case you may remove. Otherwise, instead of applying parametric, we have to apply non-parametric. In case of moderate sample size, we cross-tested normality, and in case of large sample, we cross-tested non-normality. Why? Answer is these formal tests are very accurate in case of large sample, and these are very sensitive in case of moderate sample size. Since these formal tests are structured and formulated by taking large samples.
After this is the basic orientation. After that, every test, everything will be demonstrated using Excel as well as SPSS. Even if you have any question, as the course name is WhatsApp, it should not be a theoretical course, one-way direction. So whenever you have any doubt, you have a microphone in your table, please stop the instructor and ask the question.
Now, I have said the story starts, but now the main story starts. Main story, statistical tools. In how many categories we divided all statistical tools? In how many categories we divided all statistical tools?
Parametric, non-parametric.
Parametric, non-parametric. To understand in a better way, we divide all parametric statistics into two categories: comparative and relationship. Since in biomedical research we conduct comparative studies also, and we establish the relationship between variables also. We know that the smallest comparison is possible between two groups. How to compare two groups? For example, comparison of the blood glucose between males and females, comparison of the blood glucose between urban and rural, these type of studies I will discuss in detail. And another type of comparison is possible, comparison among more than two groups. And this is the main concept. Comparison after taking covariate. I will discuss in detail about the concept of covariate. Co means together, after together that variates. We will discuss about three different types of comparisons between two groups, among more than two groups, and by taking covariate. In case of relationship statistics also, the smallest relationship, the smallest best possible relationship is between two variables. Between two variables, relationship of diabetes quantify the relationship, we have to apply regression. And you will see application of regression in biomedical research is to predict unknown on the basis of known. Prediction of the risk of cancer on the basis of lifestyle. Prediction of the risk of diabetes on the basis of different psychological traits. We will discuss one by one. Let's start with the first comparison between two groups. Comparison between two groups. The technique, the statistical technique used to compare two groups is known as t-test. T-test is a statistical technique used to compare two groups. Ladies and gentlemen, to understand, we can say, yes, comparison between two groups. The technique which is used to compare two groups is known as t-test. Actually, t-test is used to find out the significant difference between the means of two samples. In the language of statistics, we do not compare two groups. We try to find out the statistical significant difference between the means of two samples. Actually, we compare two means, not two groups. Again, I repeat, in the language of statistics, t-test is a statistical technique used to find out the significant difference between the means of two samples. And if we have two groups, if we want to compare two different means in any way, we directly apply t-test. No. There are three different types of t-test. It means two means can be compared in three different ways. जो हम गलतियां करते हैं, एक ही टेक्निक को लगाते हैं. So we will discuss about the application of all these three t-tests one by one. First one is independent t-test. Independent t-test. The name is expressed or given by different authors in different ways. This independent t-test is known by 4 different names, so we should not be confused. This independent t-test is also known as a student t-test. In biomedical researches, you will see student t-test. In some researches, you will see with the name simple t-test. And the fourth name is unpaired t-test. Again, I repeat, this independent t-test is known by 4 different names. Independent t-test, student t-test, simple t-test, and unpaired t-test. We have discussed about the definition of t-test. T-test is a statistical technique used to find out the significant difference between the means of two samples. If we talk about independent t-test, independent t-test is a statistical technique used to find out the significant difference between the means of two independent samples. Not samples, two independent samples. So what do you mean by independent? Let's formulate hypothetical title. Comparison of myoglobin between urban and rural. Who possesses more myoglobin level? Our today's hypothetical title for independent t-test is comparison of myoglobin content between rural and urban. Is it okay? We will discuss by taking 30 subjects. 30 rural individual, 30 urban. We will discuss practically. We have two independent groups. Both are independent in nature. Comparison of myoglobin between males and females. Comparison of myoglobin between smokers and non-smokers. Comparison of myoglobin between the citizens of Chandigarh, Haryana and Punjab. We require two different groups. But the group should be independent in nature. What type? My question is, I am not testing you by asking questions. I am testing myself. What type of studies are conducted by the application of independent t-test? What type of studies? Experimental or survey? Survey. Comparative survey. We are not giving any treatment. Automatically they are receiving treatment. Automatically they are urban and rural. You will not make them. For 5 years I will make you urban and for 5 years I will make you rural. No. Gender is decided by the God. You will not decide the gender. Automatically they are males and females. both are independent. Is it okay? It means independent t-test is used to conduct comparative survey. हिंदी में शब्द प्रचलित है तुलनात्मक सर्वेक्षण. We want to conduct comparative survey. Next one is dependent t-test. Dependent t-test. Dependent t-test. Dependent t-test. This dependent t-test is also known by 4 different names in different books. Dependent t-test first, correlated t-test second, repeated measure t-test third, paired t-test fourth. Again I repeat: dependent, paired, correlated, repeated measure. What was our hypothetical title for independent t-test? Comparison of myoglobin between urban and rural. Let's formulate a hypothetical title for this also. Let's discuss about a simple title. Effect of morning walk on blood pressure. Simple example. Effect of morning walk on blood pressure. Investigators' interest is to find out the effect of morning walk on blood pressure. First you will take retest of the blood pressure. Then you will give the treatment of morning walk for suppose for 1 month or 2 months, and after 1 or 2 months you will take post test. Here in independent t-test you are having 2 columns, urban rural. Here we have 2 columns, pre and post. Dependent t-test is used to compare the 2 different observations of the same group. Dependent t-test is used to compare 2 different observations of the same group. What type of studies are conducted by dependent t-test? Experiments. It means independent t-test is used to conduct survey studies. On the other hand, dependent t-test is used to conduct experimental studies. Next type of t-test is one sample t-test. One sample t-test. One sample t-test. I am in the field of research and applied research for the last 23 years, but I didn't see another name of this one sample t-test. This is known by a single name, one sample t-test. Suppose you all are subjects for a particular study. You want to compare, you together want to compare your blood glucose level with a particular target. Particular target means that normative value that is fixed by the medical sciences professionals. Comparison of the blood glucose of this group with the normality value. Suppose you want to compare all females of this group, want to compare, all females are impressed by Brahmakumari Shivani. Yes, she always remained relaxed. You want to compare your anxiety level with the Brahmakumari Shivani. Comparison of the anxiety level of all females with a single value, Brahmakumari's anxiety. The technique which is used to compare a whole group with a specified constant, a whole group with a target, a whole group with a normative value. That is known as one sample t-test. And you will see the application of one sample t-test in the field of biomedical research. Dharma hai one sample t-test ke application ki biomedical researches mein. Different researchers from the field of biomedical researches, they want to compare a particular group with their target or normative value. Since in the biomedical research field, every variable has a normative value. We have normative value of blood pressure, we have normative value of blood glucose level, everything, leukocytes, eosinophils, neutrophils, basophils, we have all normative values. We have discussed in detail about the application of 3 different types of t-test. T-test is used to find out the significant difference between the means of 2 samples, independent t-test to compare 2 independent groups, dependent t-test to compare 2 different scores of the same group, one sample t-test to compare a group with a single value, to compare a group with a single value. if you have any question regarding independently test. Otherwise, I will proceed to the next, that is comparison among more than two. Comparison among more than two.
So if you have any question, you can ask. So another purpose of to introduce this session is, as you know, we have a quiz session. So all of your quiz will come from this session only because it covers the from starting to ending. Okay. So if you are attentive, you must answer all those questions, quiz questions.
Next comparison is comparison among more than two groups. Comparison among more than two groups. About how many t-tests we have discussed? In this category also, we have different types of techniques. The technique which is used to compare more in simple language, in layman's language. We are not talking in language of statistics. In layman's language, that technique which is used to compare more than two groups is known as ANOVA analysis of variance. We will discuss in detail about ANOVA analysis of variance. Again, I repeat. Now, in the world of statistics, analysis of variance is a statistical technique used to find out the significant difference between the means of more than two samples. We compare more than two means. In t-test, we compare two means. And in how many ways we can compare two means? Three ways. In how many ways we can compare more than two means? In 5 different ways. It means there are 5 different types of analysis of variances. And randomly we apply any. There are 5 different types of analysis of variances. Let's discuss one by one. First one is one-way ANOVA, one-way analysis of variance. The first technique is one-way ANOVA, one-way analysis of variance. To understand in a proper way, we can say that one-way ANOVA is an extension of independent test. What was our example in independent test? Comparison of myoglobin between urban and rural. We were having two groups, urban and rural. In this condition will be same. This one-way ANOVA is used to conduct survey studies by taking more than two. Comparison of myoglobin between arts, commerce and science. Which subject affect your myoglobin? We are taking hypothetical example. You select 3 different groups: arts students, commerce students, science students. Comparison of myoglobin between arts, commerce and science students. You can apply in your field in your own way. In how many groups we are having here? More than 2, 3. We may have n number of groups, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe of n numbers. The technique which is used to find out the significant difference between the means of more than 2 independent groups. More than 2 independent groups. And in our hypothetical example, we are having 3 groups: arts group, commerce group, science groups. Is it okay? And this one-way ANOVA is also known by different names. ANOVA single factor, ANOVA single factor, ANOVA single factor. Another is simple ANOVA, simple ANOVA. What type of study is conducted by this? Survey, same. Since this is an extension of independent testing, nature of the technique is same, nature of study will be same. If one-way ANOVA is used to conduct survey, ladies and gentlemen, experimental studies are independent in nature. Only one way. By taking only one way, in one way we can organize. But we can organize surveys in different ways. Comparative survey, descriptive survey, relationship survey, predictive survey. predictive survey can be considered as the best type of surveys. But here we are talking about one-way ANOVA. We have discussed in detail about the application of one-way analysis of variance. Next is repeated measure ANOVA. Repeated measure ANOVA. Repeated measure ANOVA. This repeated measure ANOVA is an extension of dependency test. Try to recall our example. Try to recall the example. Since it's an extension of dependent t-test, try to recall the example of dependent t-test. Effect of morning walk on. थोड़ा change करते हैं. Effect of drug X on Y disease. First we will take the pre-test of the disease, of the level of disease. Then we will give drug X. For how many days you have given? Suppose you have to interact there. You have to take active part. For how many days you have given in that particular example?
2 weeks.
1 week. Okay? After 1 week, you are going to take another observation means post test. And you want to compare pre and post. You want to compare pre and post. If the significant difference exists, it means you can say yes, there is impact of. Is it okay? Ladies and gentlemen, doctor has given X drug for 1 week. Suppose in the first 2 days, the medicine may have positive effect. After 2-3 days, that may become overdose also. That may have negative effect also. So you want to measure the exact date of improvement. This technique is applied in the field of biomedical research to conduct experimental studies. So instead of two observations, we may have more than 2 observations. Pre-test, mid-1, mid-2, mid-3, and so on, and post-test. Is it okay? And suppose in our example, our title will be same. Effect of drug X on Y disease. Is it okay? We will discuss later by this. And how many observations we are going to take? More than 2 means. Hypothetically, select 5. Suppose 5. It is very difficult to demonstrate in the limited duration of time. If we take 10, we are going to take only 5. 5 in the form of pre, mid-1, mid-2, mid-3 and final or post-test. The technique which is used to find out the significant difference between the means of more than 2 observations of the same group is known as repeated measure ANOVA. And what type of study is conducted by using this? Purely experimental. About 2 different analysis of variances we have discussed. Next one is between ANOVA. Next one is between ANOVA. Between ANOVA. The complete name is between two-way factorial ANOVA. The complete name of this technique is between two-way factorial ANOVA. About how many techniques we have discussed till now?
5.
We have 5. Independent t-test, dependent t-test, one sample t-test, one-way ANOVA, repeated measure ANOVA. All these 5 techniques fulfills only one objective. Let's discuss one by one. Independent t-test. Objective is to compare
Means of
myoglobin between rural urban. Second one is objective is to find out the effect of morning walk on blood pressure. Third, objective is to find out the difference between your anxiety level and the Brahmkumari's anxiety level. Objective of one-way ANOVA in our hypothetical example. Objective is to find out the significant difference between the myoglobin of arts, commerce and science. And fifth one is to find out the impact of drug X on Y disease. All these 5 techniques fulfills only one objective. This is the first technique in our sequence that fulfills 3 objectives simultaneously. This fulfills 3 objectives simultaneously. Suppose, recall the example of 1 Vainova. Please repeat. Recall the example of 1 Vainova. Comparison of myoglobin of arts, commerce, science. And you also subdivided all 3 groups into categories urban and rural. In columns you are taking 3 columns, arts, commerce, science, and all 3 columns are subdivided into 2. That is urban and rural. You are comparing column, you are comparing rows. So by using between ANOVA you can compare columns, you can compare rows, and you can find out the interaction between rows and columns. Third objective will be to find out the interaction between rows and columns. Let's formulate title. There is a title. Comparison of myoglobin between different subjects, reasons and their interactions. We formulated a title. Comparison of myoglobin between subjects, reasons and their interaction. First object. What was our title for 1 Vainova?
Arts, commerce, science.
Comparison of
Myoglobin.
Can we say impact of subject on myoglobin? Can we say?
No.
Why? Because significant difference exists. It means there is impact of studying different subjects on the myoglobin. This subject is this title is more specific in nature. Both titles clarify the same thing. Comparison of myoglobin between arts, commerce, science, or impact of subjects on myoglobin. Both are same. Agree? If the significant difference between 3 groups, arts, commerce, and science, takes place in relation to their myoglobin, we can say that yes, there is a positive impact of subjects on anxiety. Can we say? Which title is more appropriate? Impact. That is more effective in nature. Here we are using impact of subject on myoglobin, and in dependent test we were using the effect of morning walk. Why impact and effect? Ladies and gentlemen, in language of research, if you are using the word effect, it means you are going to conduct experimental studies. And we have to use impact in case of service studies. Impact, automatically they are receiving treatment. Is it okay? We were discussing about between 2-way factorial ANOVA. How many objectives this technique fulfills? 3. We can compare columns. And column में क्या थे? What we are having in the columns? Arts, commerce, science. It means the first objective is to find out the impact of subject on myoglobin. Is it okay? Or we can say the first objective is to find out the significant difference between arts, commerce, science students in relation to myoglobin. Is it okay? Second objective is to find out the impact of reason on myoglobin. It means to find out the significant difference between the myoglobin content of rural and urban. Third one is to find out the interaction in rows and columns. What do you mean by the interaction between rows and columns? It means to find out the joint impact of both. The third objective will be to find out the joint impact of subjects and reasons on myoglobin. Is it okay? So this technique fulfills 3 objectives simultaneously. We will discuss about that.
So whatever you are saying is technique, everything will be demonstrated using the software in subsequent sessions. Since we have to end this session in 10:30, so I am requesting Professor Chaudhary to demonstrate just in 5 minutes about type 1 and type 2 error.
Dr. Padhi instructed me to explain two different terminologies, type 1, type 2 error. Instead of two terminologies, I will explain three terminologies since all are interrelated. Type 1, type 2 error, degree of freedom and the level of significance. You should have an idea about that. And as well as null hypothesis. Without understanding the concept of null hypothesis, we will not be able to understand the meaning of type 1 and type 2 error. Let's discuss. Let's start with degree of freedom. Since we will get the values of degree of freedom in all, we will calculate the degree of freedom of in independent t-test n-2, independent t-test n-1, in one sample t-test 1-1, in one way also. What do you mean by degree of freedom? Degree of freedom. सर जन्मदिन तो मनाते होंगे, अभी तो मनाते होंगे ना? बेटा माँ का बड़ा प्रिय होता है ना सभी माँ के. Mother loves their child. He is having his birthday. माँ ने 5,000 रुपए दिए, लेकिन माँ सख्त मिजाज की है. She directed, gentlemen, I am giving 5,000 to celebrate your birthday, but you have to spend 5,000 rupees only to purchase 5 shirts. 5 और कुछ नहीं करना है. आदेश दिया है जन्मदिन के लिए उपहार है, लेकिन कितनी शर्ट खरीदनी है? How many shirts he is going to purchase? What? आप साथ गए हो इनके दोस्तों, प्रगाढ़ मित्र हो. पहली शर्ट इनको पसंद आई. He selected first shirt having the cost of 1,100. आपने कहा कितनी बुरी पसंद है, 1,100 नहीं, 1,300 वाली लो. Can he change his decision? क्यों? 5,000 रुपए है, अभी तो खूब पैसे बचे हैं. He is free. He has the freedom to change the decision. और सेकंड भी आप चेंज करा और थर्ड भी, लेकिन अंतिम शर्ट होगी उसमें he will not have any freedom. इतने पैसे बचे, 400 बचे तो 400 की खरीदनी है. Agree? How many possible outcomes are there? जितनी शर्ट खरीदी है 5. And how many freedom he is having? 4. And how many restriction he is having? 1. It means degree of freedom is total number of possible outcomes minus number of restrictions. It's very easy to understand. Total number of possible outcomes minus number of restrictions is known as degree of freedom. And in one way, in independent test, how many groups we are having? 2 groups, and both are independent. It means we have one restriction in urban, one restriction in rural. The degree of freedom is calculated by n-2, and in dependent test, how many groups we are having? 1. It means n-1. In any group of scores, only we have one restriction. Please keep in the entirety of your mind. It means total number of possible outcomes minus number of restrictions is known as. Let's proceed to the second terminology, level of significance. You conduct your studies at 0.01 level of significance. In the beginning, during the discussion of research, we were discussing that. I have discussed about two different terminologies: treatment variance and error variance. Treatment variance means change in dependent variable only due to independent variable, and we have discussed about the error variance, change in dependent variable due to confounding. Otherwise, confounding, maybe intervening, maybe. याद कीजिए, extraneous. It means we have also discussed that error variance cannot be eliminated. We have to minimize the error variance, and we are discussing about the meaning of level of significance. It means no researcher can have 100% confidence. Our significance level is 1%. It means, let's define this. Level of significance is an imaginary line. Suppose it's an imaginary line that differentiates that on one side something is there, on the other side something is there. It is an imaginary line that the occurrence index. Occurrence of event is difference. The difference may exist by chance, 1% and not by chance. 99%. Is it okay? And third is type 1 and type 2 error. These type and type 2 error are explained on the basis of null hypothesis. Null hypothesis, hypothesis of no difference. If we rejecting correct null hypothesis is known as type 1 and accepted wrong is known as type 2 error. The concept is very simple. Your questions are invited. यदि किसी प्रकार के प्रश्न हैं आमंत्रित हैं आपके. Thank you very much.